more scripted. So this is a little bit more off the cuff. But I'd like to start by thanking everyone that's here tonight. It's a very special night for our first daughter and John and Lynn's first son. So for the first time, would everyone please raise their glass to Niall Martin and Hannah Martin. It's a good crowd. We probably had a little more fun at Hannah's expense last night than Niall's, so I'm going to try and make up for a little bit of that. As many of you know, Niall's first job was at Epic, and that's a big software company that does their stuff. And there was a job that he wanted and came down between him and one other candidate. It was a full-day interview process. And at the end of the day, they're on the top floor of the building, and there's a big slide that goes all the way down. And the person that was interviewing them said to the other candidate, "Do you want to take the elevator or the slide?" And the guy went, "Oh, I'll take the elevator." He looked at Niall and said, "Do you want the elevator or the slide?" And he goes, "I'm taking the slide." That's who got the job. This also accounts for who ended up in the pool first last night. After dinner and speeches. Niall, I'm not sure how spontaneity and the law go together, but I'm certain you'll find a way to make fun of both. Welcome to our family. This is actually the fun part. As some of you may know, Niall will be appearing on Jeopardy next year. Now, please know that if you don't win, we'll be behind you no matter what. But if you do win, we'll be behind you even more. Dear Hannah, you touch deeply everyone you encounter. As Wiley said last night, you're always shooting for the stars and pulling us along for the ride. Thank you for being a wonderful daughter, sister, friend to many, student, and now loving spouse for Niall.
Thank you very much, everybody. I'm John Martin. I'm the father of Niall. Father of Hannah. On behalf of my lovely wife, Min, I would like to thank all of you for coming to join us today in this joyous celebration of the union of our beloved Hannah and Niall. And that union brings more than just the two of them together. It also brings the Martin Zoom family to the Johnson-Lagarde family. And we are overjoyed to become part of this generous, gregarious family who have been so welcoming to us over this wonderful weekend, as well as on our past visits to Connecticut and New Hampshire. Gathering as we are on the shores of a vast ocean serves as a sobering reminder of the utter improbability of our very existences. In the 1890s, my Martin grandparents made the perilous decision individually to cross this very ocean from Ireland to start a new life here in the United States. And again, in the 1970s, my Zoom family was forced to leave their beloved homeland and start again from scratch on these shores. Min and I met each other only because she thought studying the weather would be more interesting than studying the ocean. A clear indication of her native intelligence. So Niall's very existence arises from the courage, determination, and industry of ancestors who crossed the ocean in search of a better life, and a mother whose antipathy towards studying the ocean led her to be. It's difficult for me to find words to describe my love for my son, or my gratitude to Min for having brought him into my life. I believe it's been better expressed by our times together over the past 26 years. Time spent with a bat and ball in hand, watching a performance, walking somewhere together, listening to one of his carefully argued and deftly worded proposals regarding the purchase of some electronic gadget of which neither Min or me had any reasonable sense. Once there was a small boy whose strong attachment to his strong-willed, clear-eyed sister sometimes occluded his own opinions and desires, but who willingly allowed her to direct their fantasies by convincing him to paint his nails and gleefully don an Esmeralda costume. Then there was a young man, increasingly sure of himself but guarded against overconfidence, taking on more and bigger challenges. That young man went away to American University, and it killed me to say goodbye. And he continued to grow, refining his core kindness, sense of justice, while adding new depth to his fundamentally genial character. And then he met his darling Hannah, and responding to the great fortune of her presence in his life, blossomed into the man with whom we celebrate today. An even more impossible task, however, is to relay to you how utterly confident and grateful we are that Niall is in good hands with him. Yeah. Then you recalled just the other day that when Niall first told us about Hannah in the late fall of 2015, he described her as the kindest person he had ever met. Min has since corroborated this impression for herself by watching Hannah make overly generous line calls on the tennis court, even with an entire match on the line. But nonetheless, upon meeting Hannah, it takes very little time for a person to come to the conclusion that she is one of the most loving, compassionate, dedicated, intelligent, resourceful, and good-humored people one is likely ever to meet. Her desire for peace and tranquility is a perfect complement to Niall's desire for justice. Her enthusiasm and confidence in taking on household repairs, in fact, we refer to her lovingly as Drill Bit Johnson. It's a singular skill, as is Niall's for outfitting their living space with the latest electronic gadgets. Niall's tendency to be a bit anxious about being late, sorry, Niall, to be a bit hot-tempered, sorry again, and sometimes a bit intense. I'm not going to apologize for that. It's going to serve you both well. But it's wonderfully mollified by Hannah's graciousness and easy style. In a fantasy world, in which we might be given the choice between magically conjuring the perfect addition to our family, or just taking Hannah, Min and I would be honestly confused about the options. Aren't they the same thing? We first met Hannah in May 2016 when she visited Wisconsin to celebrate her friend's graduation from Marquette. Within minutes, we learned of Hannah's extraordinary grace under pressure. At the time, there was a ludicrous debate ongoing in our family about the cuteness of a relatively newborn member of our Seattle clan as compared to baby Niall. Hannah, probably wondering what she'd gotten herself into, desperately hoping her bag would finally arrive on the interminable luggage carousel, and surely wishing to be just about anywhere else in the world at that moment, was confronted with two pictures and asked point blank by my wife, an easy-going person, who is cuter? Having literally 50-50 chance of being right. She did not choose wisely. And upon rendering, her opinion was assailed with recrimination and classic min eye rolls. All in good fun, of course, for us Martins. This is our first and one of our most penetrating insights into the nature of Hannah's generous, joyful, and deeply placid personality. The past 4 years with Hannah living so close to us in Madison, by her nature, effortlessly offering countless confirmations of that first impression, has been a wonderful gift from God. She has not only fit into our family, she has transformed it by her eager, engaging, and animated membership. And today's events really merely make official what's been clearly evident for years now. Hannah, like Niall, is now both a Martin and a Johnson. You know, the beautiful backdrop of the limitless ocean as we're all enjoying today has surely lit the eyes of countless voyagers in times past, likely filling them with equal measures of uncontainable excitement at the prospect of the adventures to come and a sense of dread regarding the harrowing unknown and the challenges that journeys darkly harbor. So today, Niall and Hannah, the two of you are setting sail on your voyage together across the vast sea of your lives. That sea will occasionally be rough. We pray that the compass of your love will always be true, will always steer you safely to deepest harbors, where waves, in the face of your plasticity, are robbed of the power to throw you off course. Work every day to make a home together, a refuge from the tempests of life, where love, light, and warm embrace may bathe you in the fullness of your ever-growing love for each other. Trust each other. And when you need to, let the other captain your ship, but strive to share command. Remember that you have many people who love you and stand ready to assist you as you go. May God continue to bless your journey together and fill your days with health, happiness, and good humor. So would you all join everyone but me, I brought no less, in a toast to the happy couple. To Niall and Hannah, may you be as poor in misfortune as you are rich in blessings, as slow to make enemies as you are quick to make friends, and may happiness ever be the melody you can't get out of your heads. We love you guys.
All right. Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. In case you didn't know, I am the maid of honor. I am also Hannah's sister, if you couldn't tell that as well. I'm taller, but she is older, surprising to a lot of people. So when I was first thinking of this speech and what I wanted to say, I started thinking about the last wedding that Hannah and I were in together. We were flower girls for our aunt and uncle, and it was around, I think it was the summer of 1999. I was about 3, and Hannah was 5. Hannah was living for this part, let me tell you. She loved her dress. She practiced her pedal tossing. She just completely nailed the part when the day came. And me, on the other hand, I surprised probably some people, but not myself. I just sobbed the whole way down the aisle. And then I curled up at my mom's feet, who happened to be the maid of honor at that wedding. So you can imagine it was quite the spectacle. So hopefully I did a little better today. So recently we started going through our family's old films, and one of my favorites was actually an Easter when Hannah was probably about 4. We were at our grandparents' house, Meg and Paul, and Hannah was doing an Easter egg hunt. I was too young to do it, but Hannah just had the most fun finding every single egg, usually pointed out by a relative. And she would just hold it up and she would name the color and everyone would just cheer. And it was the cutest thing because she was the first grandchild on both sides of the family. She was the first child. She was the first everything. And she had every aunt and uncle and grandparent just wrapped around her finger. So there was another Easter, probably about 2 years later. We were at Jim and Kay's house this time for the Easter egg hunt. And this time Hannah had her fully figured out, and she was leading the charge in the quest for the eggs. So I was actually just following her around, and every time she found an egg, she would turn to me and say, "Here, Sarah, here's an egg for you," and then proceeded to put it in my basket. And this video struck me because it was so emblematic of our relationship. Hannah has led the way through both of our lives. From starting school first and having her first boyfriend, Hannah has shown me the path to take and occasionally the path not to take. Yeah. She has set the bar high, and she has guided me along my own life's path and given me guidance at every turn. When Hannah first met Niall, I'm going to be honest, I didn't think much of it. I'm sorry, Niall. For those that don't know, the year was 2015, and all I really heard was that Hannah had a new boyfriend that was in a boys' a cappella group. Yeah, shout out to that. She was in her senior year, and he was in his junior year, and they met because they were both the musical directors of their respective groups, and were looking to collaborate for the song "All I Want for Christmas Is You" by Mariah Carey. So for those that didn't understand the first dance song, now you do. And I know, it's such a great song to fall in love over. So when Hannah and I were home over winter break, I got to meet Niall over FaceTime a few times. He seemed really nice enough, and I liked him for Hannah. One of the main things that stood out to me about him at this time was his patience with her. Hannah, I guess, had told Niall that she'd never read the Harry Potter books, only seen the movies. And the books were long, and her attention span made it a little hard, and she didn't really care, to be honest. But Niall did. So rather than have her listen to the audiobook version, they would FaceTime for hours every day so he could read her the books out loud. This continued through the spring while Niall was studying abroad, and when he finally returned home to the States, he came by Connecticut to officially meet everyone. It was at this point that my opinion on Niall completely changed. Before, all I really knew about him was that he was in an a cappella group, and he liked Harry Potter, and he liked my sister, which were all great. It was all great. I mean, it was great. It was great. But the way he interacted with Hannah was what really sold me on the relationship. See, with some of Hannah's older friends, all I did to bond with them was make fun of Hannah, because she can sometimes be an easy target. I'm sorry. I tried this with Niall. I did. I tried it with Niall. But the farther I started poking fun at Hannah, the less Niall laughed. And then he started defending her. I would crack a joke at Hannah's expense, something, pretty stupid, like her getting pulled over again, or her driving the wrong way down a one-way. And Niall would jump in and say, it's an honest mistake, or it can happen to anyone. Yeah. So it was at that point that I knew he was different and that Hannah had found a great person to bring into her life. I even told her that after Niall left. Niall, over the last 6 years, has become ingrained in my life. Whether I'm calling for advice, support, or simply to discuss The Bachelor, both Hannah and Niall's opinions matter. They've become tied in my mind, and now today in marriage, Hannah and Niall Martin. Niall, you have become someone I can always turn to. Your calm nature, sound advice, and willingness to talk about anything and everything has shown me why you're not only a great man, but also a perfect balance for my sister. As Hannah's younger sister, there's never been a day in my life that I've been without Hannah. Sorry. She took all of her life steps first, paving the way for me, her younger sister, showing me her triumphs and her mistakes along the way. Hannah, you have inspired me every day. You have taught me endless lessons, and I'm forever grateful that I got to grow up alongside the best role model, who happens to also be my best friend. Now today, on your wedding day, you're both showing me the way, not only for me, but for everyone here. We get to see what a great couple you are, how much you respect one another, and how much you rely on each other. We can all see how you bring out the best in each other, and I know I'd be lucky and happy to follow in your footsteps someday to find a great partner as you both have. Cheers to Hannah and Niall.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Charlotte. I went to acting school, so I'm projecting by accident. So if it's too loud, I'm sorry. I am Niall's sister, and tonight I am fulfilling the role of best man, although you can see I'm not a man. So if you wanted to feel more comfortable and refer to me as the best, I would respond and accept. Okay. I told Niall and Hannah a few weeks ago that right about now is the time that they may start to finally feel relaxed during this wedding. So I hope that that's true. All your meticulous planning and endless decision-making has paid off. You have created a dazzling weekend for all of us gathered here to celebrate you. Weddings are always an impressive feat to pull off, but especially so in your case. In the last year and a half, we have all lived in a scary, new, and, say it with me, unprecedented time. It has made life all the more precious, particularly in those moments when it felt like everything conspired against happiness, progress, and peace. But you've persevered together in the name of love, of brighter futures, and of joy. What's more is that you've navigated this singularly difficult time with grace and good humor. We are all so lucky to have this bright spot of an event to gorge ourselves on. Thank you and congratulations. Niall and I grew up very far away from our extended families on both sides, which is lucky for them because we are intolerably weird. A small example of this is our tradition of printing the latest family achievements on my parents' shower curtain. For instance, right now, and I am getting paid a commission to say this, the cover of our dad's recently published book, which you should all buy from an independent bookstore, stares at you while you go about your bathroom activities. And no one in the Martin family thinks this is odd. Having no daughters of my own that I know of, I can only imagine the magnitude of the sacrifice that Hannah's family has endured while she has lived abroad in Wisconsin. It's easy to see why she misses her hometown so dearly, the beauty of this place, of course, and more importantly, her deep love for her family and yours for her. Thank you for bringing her into this world. And thank you for letting us indoctrinate her with bizarre shower curtain-based mythologies. Now, this is 2021, so Hannah chose to become a part of our family, which does boggle the mind. It's funny that in all 6 years of Hannah and Niall's premarital relationship, it wasn't until yesterday at their rehearsal that the awesomeness of this choice struck me. Instead of allowing her parents to place her hand in Niall's, notorious people pleaser and ultimate yes and Hannah said, "Is it okay if I actually give him my hand by myself?" I am an evangelical feminist, so of course this delighted me on that level. But it also made me think of the first time that Niall was put in my hands. 4 days after my 3rd birthday, my brother came giggling into the world and hasn't laughed again until today. A day or two after that, my parents placed this humongous baby in my arms and told me very seriously, "Charlotte, this is your baby brother." If they said anything after that, I do not remember it, because I was immediately overcome with the solemnity of my charge as this truly gigantic baby's protector. I did all of his talking for him for 3.5 years. He did everything I told him to do, including, infamously, practicing and rehearsing Christmas morning. Please see me at the bar later for full details. Niall, listen to me. You were, are, and always will be the most precious, cherished person in my universe. I had absolutely zero choice in the matter. But even if I met you in another reality, in a different dimension, you would always be my first pick in backyard basketball. You'd always be my ride or die, and you are my most kindred spirit. Hannah, you did have a choice in the matter. So yesterday when you said, "Can I put my own hand in his?" my heart suddenly sang in realization that someone else can see my beautiful baby brother too. Even though he is incapable of being on time, which might be your fault. Even though he leaves candy all over your house and car. Even though he has a weird thing about raccoons. You can see, just like I can, that he is precious beyond measure. It's a tall order, but please take good care of my baby brother. And feel free to come over and complain about him whenever he's being a butthead. As Hannah knows from seeking it out, and as Niall knows from begrudgingly tolerating it, I love to give advice. Unfortunately, I don't think that I'm the best person to give you marriage advice. So I'll give you some hiking advice instead. For those of you who don't know, Niall and Hannah are glamping in Acadia National Park for their honeymoon, which is a perfect blend of the rugged Maine wilderness and electrical outlets for their Apple products and Nintendo Switch. Since neither of these dumb dummies come even close to qualifying as an outdoorsy type, I had a sneaking suspicion that they would ask me for the use of my Camelback Hydro Pack. I was right, and so when I got that call, like a good sister, I said, "No, get your own." And then, like a good best man, or the best, I bought them some. Now, for two people who consider the dog park a nature hike, they were appropriately excited about this new gear. So, here is how you use them. First and foremost, put water in them. This seems obvious, but Martin lore has it that our parents were once brought halfway up a desert mountain by their friend before the friend confessed that there was nothing in the Camelback. No water, no snacks, nothing. They are amazingly still friends with that friend. Your newly minted status as very serious hikers does you absolutely no good if you do not nourish yourselves and each other. Rely on your instincts, but also the great hikers before you. Bring snacks. Pack secret delights in each other's packs. Fuel and flowing water is the difference between an unsummitable peak and a difficult but doable road. Secondly, reshuffle the load from time to time. Every once in a while, check in with yourselves and each other to see if you can take on more or if you need a little lightness. Be honest, not heroic. There will be times when you'll want to carry less so that you're free to explore and forge ahead, and there will be times when you'll have to bear more of a burden than you're used to. Try to remember that you carry the cumulative weight of both packs between you. It's yours to carry together. Resist the temptation to get comfortable in a role, whether leader or follower, lighter pack or heavier pack, and instead be attentive to each other's needs along the way. And finally, stop sometimes and enjoy the view. Unless you find yourselves in central Indiana for some godforsaken reason, it is likely that no matter where you go, there will be something beautiful to look at. The world is replete with new and beautiful landscapes. Make sure you savor them even as you are on your way to somewhere else. And if you do find yourself in central Indiana, take joy in the fact that you are now forever a part of each other's landscapes. You can always look to the person beside you and delight in one of nature's loveliest works of art. Or in your case, Hannah, you can just close your eyes and imagine something beautiful. To Niall and to Hannah and to Niall and Hannah, Wherever you are, may you be home in each other, and wherever you go, may you always come closer together. Cheers. Yeah!